Yes, no guys, we are back with another video. Today, I'm doing a feeding video. It's not going to be too exciting, I don't think, because a lot of the time I just sort of chuck the roaches or whatever I'm feeding them in there. And a lot of them are hiding anyway, and won't really come out. There's a few that I think are in pre-molt, so they probably won't eat anyway. Some will feed like really well, um, as you'll see in the video. And if I know a tarantula is probably going into pre-molt, his abdomen's quite big or something like that, I won't really tend to chuck anything in there, as if they do go into pre-molt, then it could hurt the tarantula if it is trying to molt it or stress it out. So this one here is an example. My H. maculata got quite big recently. Just rehoused this one. I think I've done that off video, but yeah, very very cool looking tarantula, sort of like a whitey grey blacky sort of tarantula. Do love it. So what I'd do here is, I'm pretty sure it's just made a burrow underneath there. I usually just wet the moss slightly, um, and leave it like that. Um, so the moss stays sort of wet. Unfortunately, this one has an arboreal, and this one has sort of done a burrow already, which suggests to me pre-molt. But I've done that with the other enclosure as well, so I guess this one's sort of a bit of both. But yeah, very cool tarantula. I wish I could show you. But yeah, that one will just stay like that. Next up, something a bit more exciting, well I hope, is my salmon pink birdie, as these eat like crazy. So it should be quite cool. I think one of them's just recently molted, so should be fairly hungry as well. Here we go, look. As you see there, you sort of see their like pinky hue, sort of hairs as well. I think this one's the one that's recently molted, I believe. Yeah. And what I do is I just chuck in a roach or two, depending on the size of the roach. Look at that. Rapid. I'll chuck in like a smaller one as well. They usually take quite a while to eat the roaches, just because roaches are... There we go, look. Roaches are slightly harder and take a while to get through. So you'd be munching on that for probably like a couple hours maybe. And then I just leave them be. I believe my other one could be close to pre-molt, but feeding response should still be there. It's the same one. I bought them both at the same time. I think, did it come in a mystery box? Yeah, so this one, yeah, this one started to do like a, I believe, a web mat. Yeah, I wasn't there the other week, so we should see if this one's gonna eat. Or yeah, it is gonna eat. See what I see? See what I mean? By the water dishes, they always burrow the water dish, which is really annoying. That's why I tend to not have the water dishes in there anymore and just wet the substrate or the sides of the enclosure, because it's annoying having to dig them up like every time you go do the... I just sort of wet a side of the enclosure and just leave it be. I'll leave that one on one roach. It's not because I have favourites, I do, but it's close to molting, so... This one here is my Venezuelan sun tiger. Don't know the gender or the sex. The top's quite dusty, that needs to clean off. But yeah, I think going into pre-molt, his abdomen's quite big. So what I do with this one, I will chuck in a roach, just because it's a bigger tarantula. Not sure if it is going to eat. I've seen it wandering about recently, so it might just be hungry. Even sometimes pre-molt, they still are looking for food sometimes. Majority of the time you will see they're not interested, but it's always, you never know. So I'll just chuck that in there, a small one, not going to do any harm, but if it is hungry, then it will eat. And then I'll just spray it down and leave it be. This one's always quite thirsty as well, I find, so my slings I'm not really going to bother with either, because I fed them a day or two ago, so they're probably eating like another day or two, so I'm just going to leave them. They're the ones I recently sort of got in my mystery box, so yeah. This is my P Metallica going into pre-molt, I believe. Not going to feed it. Ate a couple days ago as well, so don't really have to worry about that one. Just give it some water. Kluge might eat. I think he ate a couple days ago, but their feeding response is like really good. Again, this one's going to have to be rehoused fairly soon. The enclosure is pretty basic. I do have some more coffin enclosures I bought, so it'll probably go into one of those. I like to keep them in some decent enclosures, but see if this one's going to eat. Oh, what was that? Is that a threat posture? Interesting. Again, I just sort of wet it briefly. Might drink that, but I'll leave the mealworm in there because they're not going to do any harm. Okay, you're not going to see much of this one at all. You hardly see it about, but it's my Panama Blonde. This one is one I'm going to have to rehouse because it's in like a, not really in an arboreal enclosure, just standard. Substrate's fucking arse. And this is one I'm rehousing soon. I'm just waiting. What I was going to do is just feed them today, upload this video, and then sort of rehouse them this weekend. Which might be alright. Again, this one I sort of wet down a bit. I mean, not really a huge amount, but it's not really, the substrate doesn't really do much, to be honest, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just put a roach up here. Oh yeah, she went for that one. Oh, never mind, I lied. She didn't. Interesting. It is a big roach, but definitely not going into pre-molt. Abdomen fairly small, so yeah. Next up, I'm not gonna fuck with this one. This is my. This needs a dusting as well. Jesus. This is my P Marinus, and last time, well, not last time, but it escaped before, basically. So I tend not to actually open it because it's rapid and I'm scared of it, to be honest with you. And I don't want to be spending 2 hours again trying to get it. So I'm just going to chuck in a roach and what I do is I use this flap and I just spray down a corner of the enclosure. It does have a water dish in there, but I'm not going to use it because I don't want to open the thing up. And that's that one done. Again, as I said, it's going to be a pretty boring video. It's just a run through of what I do and what works for me. What works for me may not work for you, or you may like to do it in a different way, but this is just how I've done it for years and it's worked. So now my newer tarantulas, which is Hattie, which I need to put a new label on. I have like recently labeled them up. I bought a label printer, I've done it properly, but a few of them I still need to do. But yeah, these are my recent ones in my mystery box. This one's supposed to be a boreal. Again, it's burrowed. Strange. And this is my electric blue, which sort of looked half dead in that mystery box video. But look at the webbing on it. And the enclosure looks so nice with, like, you know, the highlights of the green. But yeah, not gonna feed this one, I don't think. No, his abdomen's quite big. I did give it like 2 roaches, and it has, I'm pretty sure it ate both, and it only ate the other one recently, so just gonna chuck a bit of water in there and then just leave it be. Got a bit of water on there, didn't mean to. Should still magnetise fine though. Yeah. And then this one, again, nothing too exciting. You won't be able to see it really, I don't think, unless it comes out from behind. But I'll just give it a little spray there. Little spray. I'll chuck in with this one because it's smaller. I'll chuck in a couple mealworms. Again, they're not really going to do any harm. But they usually like tend to burrow, the mealworms. And you find out like a week later that your tarantula's got a mealworm in its mouth because it's found it finally. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Like a lot of these you're just not going to see. Some of them you are, like the salmon pink ones. My electric blue, obviously, you can see in there. Sort of see the blue highlights. So sick. Next up, my Dominican purple. Probably up there with one of my favourites. I'm looking to get a female, an adult female, but there's nowhere. I've found like a couple 5 to 6 centimeter ones, but again, like, this is a male I've had for years now, so how long he's gonna live, I don't know. But you know, it would be nice to sort of try pairing them because I've never tried it. I don't know whether I should. Let me know if you have tried it and what it was like, whether it's easy, hard, etc. But yeah, I just want to sort of try it and see how it goes. But it's just the room as well, having the room to do it, which my room is tiny, and it's sort of taken up by a lot of spiders now. Yeah. What I do with this one is, again, the moss is useful because it sort of soaks the water really well. I don't know whether he's going to eat. Yeah, he doesn't like the water. He can't swim. And again, because this one's quite big. Oh. chuck in a couple. Will he eat? His abdomen is fairly big, but doesn't seem too interested. The roach is trying to burrow itself. Doesn't seem too interested. It might be. I'll just leave him in there. Again, it's quite a big tarantula. Don't want to fight with him though, but lovely purple colours like. Right, let's close that one up. Leave him be. Another dusty one. And it's a bit muddy as well, but they get dusty really quick. My room, I don't know how or why it gets so dusty. It might be to do with my PC, but I don't know. This is my Versicolor, and this is just recently molted, probably about a week ago. So she should be hungry, and we might see a feeding response here, hopefully. If not, I'm going to be fuming. Come on. I don't want it to burrow because it's a waste of fucking food. Either way, I'll just leave them there. I don't want to destroy her home, obviously. But again, this is the reason why, like, I'm not going to sit there for ages trying to get a response, you know? This is my sun tiger. I don't know why I took ages to say that. Might be able to see. Put the angle right. Just down there. Hiding away. Again, I just water down the enclosure. Another thing is this moss is getting moldy, as you might see. But I have ordered some springtails to hopefully try and stop the mold. Again, having a like slightly high humidity, and when you're wetting the moss, it might get moldy. My other moss in the one I just done is perfectly fine, but this moss for some reason just doesn't like it. But regardless, I usually do have springtails, but obviously when you're sort of rehousing, you're changing the substrate, so springtails are no longer. So I've ordered some. Hopefully that will maintain it and hopefully eat the moss, because that's what they sort of do. They just eat everything. And if that doesn't work, I'll just take out the moss. But I just think it looks really good, and I don't want to destroy it. The mold's not going to harm the tarantula in any way, because it just doesn't generally. I've seen famous tarantula keeper, and basically he had the problem where his whole enclosure was moldy, and he said that like it's not really going to do any harm. But in the long run, it might. So again, I'm not gonna let it get out of hand, but if I need to remove the moss, I will, and hopefully the springtails help. Right, I got my Asian Aculata and my Vietnam Blue. This is an old world. I don't know where he's to actually. I don't see this one much at all. It does need rehousing. The substrate is again arse. But I don't know where I got this substrate from at all. But wherever I got it from, I really regret it. It's like really chunky and like just got chunks of cork in it. Cork bark. I just don't like it. It's not as easy to sort of burrow. But it has been eaten, surprisingly. But a good thing about the substrate is that the roaches aren't really going to be able to burrow as easy. I'll just spray down one side again and then close her up. This one, my Asian Aculata, you might see a feeding response, although it might be going into pre-molt soon, which his abdomen sort of does look that way. Might be hungry. I will test it. I think as a female, I didn't have any. I put on the Arachnoboard's website asking. Oh, there we go. There's a feeding response. And basically, no one responded. Whereas my Brazilian blue tarantula, they said more than likely a male, 2 people. So I've labeled as a male. If it's not, it's not. But you know, these are people that are fairly active on there and know what they're talking about. And my curly hair, my other one, which was unsexed, is apparently a female as well. And I thought that because of the like hairy sort of slit. So I've got my curly hair, which is the one that was just recently sexed as female. This one should eat, and there should be a nice feeding response. She's getting fairly big. Do have another curly hair female as well. Oh, there was a response, but she missed it. So we go again. Again, that roach is fairly small, so I will give her 2. Let's try again. Again, there's a feeding response, but she's missing it. And again, what I do with this one is chuck some water in the dish. Fucking hell, you see? Response is mad. She's hungry, but she doesn't know where the roach is. She's going for the tongs. She's gone for the tongs. Behind you. She's usually fairly accurate with it. This is an entertaining one to watch. The other one's sort of gone under, so I might just chuck another one. And hope she sort of gets it this time. There we are, look, she got that one. The other one's upside down. I'll probably start kicking its legs in a minute, but there we are. Again, roaches, they're sort of an awkward one because they play dead a lot of the time, I feel like. So for a tarantula, it's sort of harder. They come out at night as well, sort of like tarantulas do. So they will have a wander about. But yeah, I just find it's better off to just be safe. Right, I've got to be careful now because I've got them all stacked up behind me. My Brazilian blue, the one I was just on about as well. Male, I'm pretty sure. I was going to get a female, but unfortunately someone bought it. It was like a 9 to 10 centimeter female. This one is I mean, if it's leg span, it's probably like 6-7 centimeters, maybe a bit more. Um, but that would be a perfect pairing. But someone bought it, unfortunately, so it is what it is. Is it going to eat? His abdomen is fairly big, but I don't know. I'll leave it in there. This one's a bit weird when it comes to eating. It either like really wants to eat or doesn't want to eat. But yeah, it is a male. His legs are quite sticky as well. You can't really tell when you're not in person. Yeah, when you're not in person on the camera. I mean, maybe its back legs you can sort of see are like more sticky. Which tends to be a more common thing on males. Yeah, my other curly hair female. This is probably my favourite tarantula. Just because of how nice she actually is. Not sure if she's gonna eat. I don't think she is. Just because you can see the size of her abdomen, it's massive. And the last time I tried, she wasn't really interested, but they go off vibrations, so she might be hungry. She's moving towards it a little bit. And yeah, sometimes she like comes up on the side here to say hello. But she never comes out. I've tried holding her. I mean, with curly hairs, I don't know whether it's a good idea because of how much hair they have on them. And obviously they flick hairs. So if you get one of those hairs like stuck in you or whatever, it could irritate your skin. But it's only if they flick hairs, and they only do that really if they're stressed. You can see her moving so delicately. She's getting big, big girly. May have to maybe next molt have to update the enclosure because it's. I mean, with its legs all stretched out, you can sort of see like it's probably around 3 times the size of her, the enclosure. But let's see if she. I doubt she will. I'm gonna chuck in a roach maybe. I feel like the roaches. I don't know whether she has 8, but is she hungry? Is the question. I'll leave that. I will water the enclosure down though. I don't know whether it was a fret posture. Curly hairs don't really tend to fret posture, to be honest. But you can tell her abdomen is massive, so probably explains why. But again, sometimes they do just like to eat, even in pre-molt. But just water this side. I find that she likes to lie in the dampness sometimes, so I tend to water a large chunk of it. But yeah, I'll leave her be. Very sweet tarantula though. Again, another dusty one. Not going to see this one. So I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. You can see the roach up here. So I'll try and catch the roach. Last time I tried this, it went right down. Chuck that back in there. But yeah, you can see the roach down here as well, which is really annoying. I'm going to have to like block off that, I think, because yeah, there's literally 2 roaches behind here. So what they do is they've obviously climbed up and found a nice little hiding spot, which roaches love to hide, especially when there's a lot of light. They tend to hide. So what this one has clearly done is just climbed up here, gone down in this gap, and just sit in there because it's safe. It's dark. Obviously, this is on the back of the wall, so they love it. So you got to be careful with these enclosures. I might try and block off if I manage to get them out. Just block off this part. I think it's even nibbled away at the top here, maybe. But I'm going to leave this one for food, obviously, because it's not 8. Obviously, the tarantula can't get behind there, but this is my Venezuelan Sundaga female, and I believe she's either recently molted or in pre-molt. So just spray down the enclosure and leave her be. I'm hoping that when she does molt, that she will molt into fresh legs and not have a leg missing, because I accidentally took off her leg before when rehousing. Again, this is my Trinidad olive tarantula. Not gonna eat again. Its abdomen is massive. Might be able to see it, but I will give it a little spray down of water. Yeah, just down here. You can see its legs. Has a nice orange hue, and it's like an olivey green. It's wrapped up its enclosure really nicely, like really tidily, which I do like when they do that. But yeah, I'll just basically spray down the opposite side of the enclosure. See the abdomen, massive. So definitely in that pre-molt stage. Usually sort of can tell when they're in pre-molt as well, just because their abdomen sort of goes all patchy. Like, you usually see like dark spots on some of them. This one's got natural sort of dark spots. That's not pre-molt, but yeah, very cool nonetheless. Gonna leave it be now, have a drink and all that stuff. But I'm glad we have seen one of them at least. And yeah, that is the final tarantula of the video. Has been a long video, but I'll try and cut it down as much as I can, because I'm at currently 41 minutes. So try and get it down to like around 30, if not under. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see anything else. I'll do a rehousing video probably next. And then hopefully next month, I'll get a couple more tarantulas and do that for a video. It is harder to do videos for tarantulas, unless you're sort of making guides to each sort of species. I find, but I'll try and come up with some cooler ideas, some different ideas if I can. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. I appreciate everyone that's been supporting me and subscribing and checking me out and all that stuff. We have been getting a decent amount of views, and people come to the YouTube leaving comments. So I do appreciate if you do leave a comment and support the YouTube. But yeah, I'll catch you all next time. Later.